Boston Bruins are planning something massive, as they have already made some sneaky moves surrounding the draft, going and meeting with a few prospects, and some major names are moving down the board to the Boston Bruins, who were formerly at number 3. We're going to be talking about all the updates we have here, some very new revelations, and some interesting stuff the Bruins have already started to do heading towards this year's NHL draft. We got a lot to cover today, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already, and you're looking for a spot for all of your Boston Bruins news. We're going to have it here as it happens, and now with these playoffs starting to come right to an end, we got a lot of stuff coming, so you won't want to miss it. But let's jump straight into this here first, going over our first little look at Brady Martin. This is a guy that we've spoken about quite a bit here. Now, I want to put up these stats. Keep this in mind for when we're going to talk about the recent stuff that have happened with him and the Boston Bruins. And formerly, spoken about in these videos, he's the guy that we really like. At least I know a lot of you guys in the comments saying you like him. Let me know in the comments below. Is Brady Martin someone you're interested in? And now also keep in mind, we're going to have a few more people touching on later in this video. But these recent revelations have put in some very interesting notes for Brady Martin ahead of the draft. So going into our first quote here, going off with Bruins After Dark, the 18-year-old confirmed this week that he was among the selected few players Boston chose to take out for a pre-draft dinner. A telling gesture, he wasn't alone in that experience. Either the Utah Mammoth, the Philadelphia Flyers, or the Nashville Predators, all of whom have a pick higher than Boston, extended the same invitation. Now, of course, this is about Brady Martin, a guy who, over the last couple days and weeks, was moving up the draft board. We've been able to see him so far while we are still in the season, of course. That was around number 10 through 15, but we now know the Bruins have 7. They met with him. Many teams up ahead met with him as well, and this is an opportunity where the Bruins may have to move up if they wanted Brady Martin in specific, but right now, I think we're in the clear. There's a few players ahead that certainly won't be moving, and I think that's something to really keep in mind. But one thing about Brady Martin, which he said kind of about himself, was very interesting when it comes down to it, and his ideas with the Boston Bruins. This is what he had to say. Tom Wilson and Sam Bennett are two guys I've always looked up to. And this is one thing that we've spoken about here for Brady Martin, is that he is a big physical player. Now, although he is not the biggest of them in the draft, he is 6 foot, 180. He plays like an absolute dog. He goes into the corners, does whatever he can do to get the puck, lay the body, and he plays so much bigger than he actually is. And this is exactly what the Bruins have really come out and said that they're looking for. They're looking for a guy who's not afraid to do that, a center who they can have for years to come. And even though the Bruins do have currently a lot of centers on the roster, they don't have anybody that we can really trust to play long-time center role in this team, which is one thing that we want to fix here in this draft with the 7th overall pick. And hopefully, kind of a split opinion here, but kind of we want to have this 7th overall pick only once. We want to get back into the playoffs. We want to get to those scenarios where we're still in the 20 range, because the draft is kind of secondary after the playoff thought. But Brady Martin is certainly one that I'm very excited upon. Now, kind of going over this as well, another name that we've been seeing has been Drake O'Brien, and he has been increasing in his kind of standings, I guess, in this draft. This is what we had to say here. Jake O'Brien's been named that some are projecting the Bruins would take at 7th overall. He has risen to that range with his play in the season, fits the bill for the type of player the front office cherishes. O'Brien is a reliable two-way center who might not blow you away with a ceiling, but should be a solid professional wherever he ends up. Now, Jake O'Brien, as you've seen here, has been riding up the draft boards as well, has now been on multiple, listed at 7th overall, but we know that he certainly could go either 5th or 6th, and there's been a lot of movement as of late, and we do have here the draft list right now. This comes from Tankathon. As you see, Jake O'Brien there is number 7, and realistically, I think that it's pretty fair to say, according to most reports, but we do have a very interesting one later in someone in the top 5, but Jake O'Brien is, at this point right now, the spot where the draft gets a bit of an uncertainty. It feels like 1 through 6 is going to be at 1 through 6, maybe not in the correct position here, but it certainly seems like these players are going to be in that range. Now, Jake O'Brien, Victor Eklund, Roger McQueen, Brady Martin, those are where we saw the Bruins kind of go around this realm of being able to pick, and the uncertainty there of who's going to be available, if someone drops, if someone gets reached upon in the first. There's a lot of uncertainty, but there, as you see, Brady Martin, 11th, his draft stock is going up and up and up, and that's where the Bruins now see him as 7th, according to multiple reports. But Jake O'Brien is someone here as well that has been climbing. So you see that, and then there's a lot of movement around that area, but it is something that I wanted to pull up and talk about before we get into a very interesting look about Porter Martone. Now, we're going to jump into that here in a moment because I want to show this. This is from The Athletic, 7th overall. They have 2 reporters here coming out saying the best pick for the Bruins in their mock draft. Now, this is their mock draft respectively, so keep that in mind. But Jake O'Brien for Kimmelman, of course, the Bruins draft the top 10. He is projected around 7. He is going to be one of these guys that will be no matter what, a solid center. He's not going to blow you away with the offense. 2-way forward. The Bruins have that in Matt Poitras, which is why I'm not so heavy on Jake O'Brien. But when you look here at the bottom, Porter Martone is projected 7th overall. That's genuinely insane. I don't want to go out here and say that this is a realm of possibility. If it is, oh my God, what a steal for the Boston Bruins. But looking at Porter Martone, he's a guy that, as you saw from this most recent report here, or this most recent mock draft from Tankathon, is in the top 3. We've seen some, and I went through this Athletic article, which I will pin in the comments below. Go check it out if you, of course, have the Athletic. It is a subscription. But Porter Martone dropped down to 7, and you see Matthew Schaefer, Michael Misa. I believe it was Anton Frundell at 3, James Hagens 4, Caleb Dornier 5, and then I think it was Anton Frundell. It could be wrong, but the order was kind of crazy in my mind, and we've kind of thought about Porter Martone here, spoken about him just a little bit, especially when we were at 5 before the lottery, but right now, looking at Porter Martone as a number 7th overall pick is a steal. You look at his points here in this season, 57 games in the OHL with Mississauga, 98 points. He's an elite talent, and in my mind, a guaranteed top 5 pick, so if we're looking at a 7th overall, that is absolutely a steal, and I want to see that at some point in more drafts. I feel like this is still just a little bit right now out of the way, but what an absolute steal if true, because when we look at this offense right now, we know that even though Porter Martone is not a center, would fit the bill for this lineup. We go in here and have a look at the Bruins offense. Morgan Geekie, Elias Lindholm, David Pastrnak, Jacob Lauka, Pavel Zacha, Fabian Lysell. There's some moves that could be made around there as well. We know that there's going to be a few people that are going to be up in the NHL this upcoming season who may not have had the real big opportunity. Of course, Lysell is there. We don't know what's going to happen with Fraser Minton, Marat Kuznetsov, where these guys are going to go after being acquired by the Bruins here at the trade deadline. But they could use any young talent on this team. Anybody in this draft kind of going through 1 through 5, I would even go up probably to 7, 8 in this draft. I feel it could slot perfectly into this Bruins lineup right now, as long as they're on the forward side of things. And when you go and look at, a 2-way center, there is a fit there. I don't see it fully being able to be exactly what the Bruins need. Elias Lindholm, I would sort of say is a 2-way. Matt Poitras, certainly a 2-way if he's playing center, of course, if he's healthy and whatnot. Now, there's a lot of movement going to be around there, but when we're looking at it, the Bruins have a very select amount of players that have been linked. We've been able to see, we've had conversations with Brady Martin, Jake O'Brien, and Roger McQueen. The real ones that we saw a lot about. Now, Porter Martone, of course. I have the asterisk next to it because that is only one Athletic article. That's the only one I've seen where Porter Martone is dropped below the top 4. And if that, of course, does occur, we're in a very, very lucky spot with this pick. And we may have dodged a major bullet after dropping 2 spots in the lottery. So I know there's a lot of information to kind of take in here in this video. We have a lot of prospect updates from this draft meetings and dinners stuff so far. We're going to have a lot more, but let me know right now in the comments below. What prospect are you favoring? And of course, one more time, I will pull up here the Tankathon list and kind of going over a few of these players that we've spoken about. We've had James Hagens here on the list, of course, but right now, let's just say the top 11 because I feel like we won't really reach after that, and I feel like as of right now, we don't have enough time to get anybody below the top 12 into it. So let me know what you're seeing here, who you would like. Of course, Jake O'Brien is a phenomenal player as well, but when you go and look at a guy like Brady Martin, Roger McQueen, the way that those guys play, how big they are, it's something that not just the NHL is looking for, but the Bruins as well. So let me know what you think about that here in the comments below. But that is all I have in this video. If you did enjoy, of course, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. Remember, we got a lot of content coming. I keep on stressing a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure that you get the Bruins news as it happens. So be sure to go if you haven't already, and you're at this point in the video. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. But I am signing out. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day. See you later.